Hello guys, good evening to all. How are you all guys? So I hope I am audible. Hello Ankit. Hello Kunal. Hi Arpita, good evening. So okay guys, so this is basically the day two. Yeah, hi everyone, good evening. So this is day two. So okay, thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, okay. So this is basically day two, guys, and today we'll be going to learn something. Let me just show you what is the agenda for today and what things we'll be just going to learn. Just 1 second. Let me just share my entire screen. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible, guys. Okay. My screen is visible, guys. Can you get a confirmation? Okay. So guys, just see this is basically the agenda for today. Like we'll be just going to cover what are functions in Python, what are like list, some inbuilt functions with respect to the list, tuple, and dictionary. These things we'll be just going to cover today. All right. My volume is already like I have increased it a lot, but I'll be just going to speak a little bit louder so my voice will be clear. So I hope if I'm speaking like this, so now you all guys are able to hear me. All right. Okay. So functions we'll be going to learn and how we'll be going to call the functions. Why do we need function? This is also the thing that we'll be basically going to learn. And parameter, what are basically these return things? What is basically this return? All about functions we'll be going to learn. And yeah, okay. So all these things we'll be basically going to learn today. That why do we need function? If we can like simply write a code the way that we were seeing yesterday, so why do we at the end need function and all, right? And after that, some inbuilt functions with respect to dictionary, Python, tuples, and list. This thing we'll be going to learn, and we'll be even going to learn some common Python errors. Like what are the some common Python errors? We'll be even going to learn this thing: what is try and accept block, and the importance of handling error. And I'll be just going to introduce you something about like what is this library and all. There are something in library, there is something called libraries in Python, so we'll be going to learn this thing also. So all right, so let us just start today's session. Is my voice audible, guys? Are you guys clearly able to hear me? Volume, okay. I hope this is good now. All right guys, can I get a confirmation that I am audible clearly or not? All right. So what we'll be going to do today is we'll be just going to open our Anaconda. Okay, just 1 second, guys. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the confirmation, guys. Thank you very much. So, what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to launch our Jupyter notebook. And before that, let me just explain you something. First, tell me, yes, we can do code in Colab also. Both are basically same. At the end, you should know the coding part only. Yes, Sonali, today I'll be going to show you a little bit about pandas. So that comes inside data analysis only. VS Code, no, VS Code is basically a separate thing. Okay. Now, So first tell me guys, how many of you are aware about environment in Python? How many of you are aware about environment in Python? What are environments? Okay. Is there anybody? Is there like anybody else who is aware about environment in Python? Matplotlib will be not going to cover learning lane. Okay, guys. So one really important thing. Lokesh, just see, this is a 3-day boot camp. So in the first day we have covered the basic one, and today we'll be just going to move little bit forward to the advanced one. So बिना पढ़े तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला, थोड़ा बहुत आपको प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि पाइथन सच में एक बहुत ही इजी लैंग्वेज है, तो आपको थोड़ा बहुत अपना टाइम देना पड़ेगा. बिना पढ़े तो देखो भाई कुछ नहीं होने वाला, थोड़ा बहुत तो आप लोगों को मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. ओके, सो गाइस, एनवायरनमेंट क्या होता है? जब भी हम कोई एक नए प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करते हैं, जब भी हम कोई एक नए, whenever we'll be going to work on a new project, so at that time we have to install different Python versions. Okay, let me just show you what do I mean by this Python version and all. So this is basically my terminal. All right, so if I'll be just going to write Python 2, now you'll be able to see over here it is showing me that Python 2.7 is installed. Okay, now if I'll be just going to write Python 3, now it is showing me Python 3.11.7 is basically there. So I have two type of Python. Yes, you can use VS Code, anything you can use, but at the end you should know how to write code in Python. That's it. Now, let's just say if I'll be going to do Python 3.6. So it is showing me now. So these are what? These are the different version of Python. So in real time, what you basically have to do is you have to work with different Python versions. If you are towards the Python development or to the like backend, the thing that I've explained in the yesterday session. So at that time, you will be going to work with Python 2.7 also. You'll be going to work with Python 3.6 also. You'll be even going to work with different version of Python. Okay, but let us just say if I'll be just going to write Python, it is basically calling this version. Now what if I have to install something with respect to this version of Python, or let us just say with 3.6 version of Python? Okay, so at that time we basically use environments. So if I'll be just going to show you a little bit idea of environment, so let us just say Python 3.6. So I'm just naming my environment as my envs, that is environments, and I'll be just going to click enter. Now just see, this environment is there. For activating this environment, I just have to write source environment name slash, then I have to write bin, then I have to write activate. So you'll be able to see over here my environment is being activated. So previously, if I was writing Python, I was able to get Python 3.9.12. But now if I'll be just going to write Python, it will going to show me 3.6, because I have created this environment with respect to Python 3.6. Now, if I want, I can similarly create the environment with respect to Python 2.7, with respect to Python 3.11.7, and with respect to Python 3.9.12 also. Now all the code, all the things that I'll be going to call over here, all the things that I'll be going to install over here, what are libraries and all, that will going to install with respect to Python 3.6 only. Okay, so these are basically your environments, guys. Now if I just show you this thing over here in Anaconda, you will be able to see environment also. So for creating environment in Anaconda, you do not have to write any kind of a code. Let us just say I'll be just going to simply click on this create, this button that you will be able to see over here. And after that, I'll be just going to write the name of it. So let us just say let's upgrade underscore day underscore 2, and I'll be simply going to create it over here. It will going to ask me which Python version you want to create over here in this environment. So let's just say 2.7, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8. So let's just create it with 3.8, and we just have to click on create. Now you'll be able to see processing is basically happening. Basically, version to version is like if they are upgrading the version, some inbuilt functions will they will be going to introduce some new inbuilt functions, and I can basically say multiple things are basically there. The functioning of previous Python was changed. If I'll be just going to compare it with Python 2.7 to Python 3.6, if I just talk about data science, so in data science we are basically using the latest version of Python, because if you'll be going to use old version of Python, you'll be not able to run any kind of a code at that time, the artificial intelligence model and all. Okay, now, so I have created this environment, that is let's upgrade day 2. For activating this environment, previously what we have activated it like this, but right now we just have to click on this play button. Okay, and open terminal you can basically do over here. That if you'll be just going to do this thing, we are using Jupyter Notebook, but over here I am just activating environment. Okay, this is what we'll be going to do. Now over here we have created the environment. So what we'll be going to do now, we'll be simply going to open our Jupyter Notebook. Okay, why is this basically showing me today? It is basically showing me to install it, so just wait for some time. Okay, there is something wrong with this one. This icon just got shifted. Now it is okay. So just wait till it is getting installed. That is what I have explained you, Master Art. In real time, you have to create the environment. On the first day of the industry, your seniors will going to ask you to create environment, because they have, if you have 10 projects, let me just explain you. Let me just launch this Jupyter Notebook. Now let's just create a notebook over here. Where I'm explaining you guys, don't worry. Open. What is wrong? Pop-up window blocked. Okay. Now it is okay. All right. So what are basically the environments? Just see. If you have 10 projects or 5 projects, project 1. How many of you are aware about libraries in Python? Tell me, guys. How many of you are aware about libraries in Python? Yes, right? Now just see. Yeah, pip install. So just see over here, let us just say in one project, the whole code, if I just talk about, let me just say a code is basically there that is of 5,000 lines. Multiple files are basically there. So one project, your company is working on Python 2.7. In the next project, your company is working on Python 3.6. In the next project, your company is basically working with Python 3.9. And the next project, your company is working with Python 3.70. Now over here, they are using pandas version of like XYZ. Okay. Now over here, they are again using pandas version of ABC. That is a different version. So if you'll be not going to create an environment, what will happen? If I have an old version of pandas and I want to install the new version of panda, what it will do? First, it will uninstall the old version. Then it will install the new version. So you are now right now working with project 2. But again, if you have to work with project 1, are you again going to install all the libraries? Obviously not, right? Are you getting my point? So that's why we create environment and we basically install multiple version of Python plus multiple version of libraries at that time. Yes, but we do not override the old version. That's why we create environment, because just for installation it will going to take a long time, because it's not just a single library that you'll be going to install. There will be a list of libraries. Okay, now just see. Okay, I'll be going to repeat. If you have a project 1, right, where you are using Python 2.7, right, but you are using pandas version, let us just say 0.11, but over here you are using the pandas version of 0. Let us just say 5. I don't know whether this version is available or not, just an example I'm taking over here. So if right now, previously you was working with project 1, now you are working with project 2. So what you have to do, you have to work with Python 3.6, and now you have to work with pandas version of 0.51. Okay, now you might be thinking why? Because there are multiple functions you might have called which are only working with pandas 0.11. Because if you'll be just going to join any kind of industry, okay, the code, there will be like a code, a project, the code is already been written. You might have to modify some changes, so you have to work with that particular library only. You just cannot install a new library, because you just cannot create the whole code again by using the new version. Yes, different Python versions plus different library versions. That is what environment is. Okay, now if I'll be just going to install import pandas as pd, this is basically a library. Why it is showing me this thing, guys? Can anyone tell me? Because I have not installed it. But if I'll just going to go over here, right, in the environment that I have just created, so over here I just have to install. Okay, so I'll be just going to search pandas. Okay, pandas is basically here. So I'll be just going to click over here and I'll be just going to click on apply. So it is basically downloading this library. Obviously it will going to take a lot of memory, but you'll be going to work on server. You'll be not going to work on your local device or something, right? No. So right now it is installing. Now if I'll be just again going to I think I have to open a new notebook. Just 1 second. Okay, now you are basically able to import it. Over here also, you will be able to see the code is being successfully executed. Okay, in PyCharm, you can use the terminal and you can just do pip install pandas like this. Okay, so let's just start this thing. So yesterday we have basically seen what is your for loop. Let's just say if I have a basically list. Now I want to iterate these things one by one. So what I'll be going to do, I'll be just going to write a for loop for number in list print number. So one by one it will be going to print. All right. Now similarly we have something known as while loop. Okay, there are different scenarios where you'll be going to use for loop, where you will be going to use while loop, but on the starting phase most of the time you will be going to work with for loop only. Okay, now what is basically a while loop? So let us just say I am just considering a value that is going to be 0. Now I'll be just going to do, for creating while loop I just have to write while and a condition. Condition is right now counter value, this value is 0, but this loop will going to run till its value going to be less than 10. When it will going to 10, when it will be going to 10 or 11, it will just going to break this loop. Okay, so what I'll be going to do, print counter, and just see, first it will going to print counter and I'll be just going to increase the value of counter by 1, and let's just execute it. So just see, till the 9 value it has printed these things. I have zoomed it a lot. Okay, so that is basically this thing format of LetsUpgrade, the video command also. I cannot change that. Now counter is basically going to be 0, what I have written, while counter is less than 10, print counter. So how it was working, just see, previously it was 0. Let's just do one thing, let's just break it. There is something known as break. Okay, we'll be going to learn about it. So how this code is working, guys. So let us just say till this while loop is working, I'll be just going to print this counter value, print counter. So let us just say before counter, let's just name it before counter value, like पहले इस counter value क्या थी, and after what is the value of print after counter. Now just see, it is saying when you was over here, you have mentioned that the counter value should be less than 10. So till then this while loop will going to work. So this is what, this is the condition that I have added over here. Okay, in while loop you basically have to add a condition. Okay, in for loop you'll be just going to iterate till the length of the list, and we use it on the different scenarios. Okay, so how this code is working, I have written while, then after that I have written counter should be less than 10. Now I'm printing before counter and counter. That means जब तक मैंने इस value को increase नहीं किया था, right, I have not incremented this value, till then counter value was 0. But after this thing over here, it has printed the counter value, print counter. So this is the counter value 0, and after I have incremented it, counter plus is equal to 1. Okay, this is my value. So if I'll be just going to do this thing, so just see, it was 0 before, 0 it has printed. Let me just comment this one out. Now after 1, so again it will going to check over here. Okay, when it was 1, that okay, it is 1 now, but it is still less than 10. Same in the next time, you'll be able to see that it is like 2. Okay, so it will again going to check 2. Okay, 2 is again less than 10. Similarly, if it will be 10 at one time, okay, if it will be 10 at one time, so it will going to check no, now it is not less than 10, because we have mentioned it should be less than 10. But if there will be a 9 at that time, there is no problem, because 9 is still less than 10. All right, so if I'll be just going to show you this thing, comment these things out. So it has printed till 9. So this is basically your while loop. How it is basically covering it, guys? Just 1 second. Okay, it should be okay. Okay, really sorry, guys. Now I just do one thing. Okay, is it good now? Okay, is there any option that I can like change it? Uh, okay, no problem. But I hope it is okay now. So this is basically your while loop, guys. Okay. Now, let's just learn about one thing also. What is this thing? Now, let us just say what I have to do is I basically have a list. Some other problems you'll be going to solve with respect to while loop. So now if I basically have a list, let's just say I basically have a list of my list that is going to be 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to multiply. I basically have to do square root of all of these things. That basically depends on the scenario. If you want to run the while loop till something, some kind of a condition is basically there, like I have written a condition, so at that time you will be going to use while loop. But if you already have something predefined, let us just say this list is basically there. Okay, so at that time I'll be just simply going to use for loop. Okay, now so my list is basically there. What I'll be just going to do, I'll be just going to define a variable that is going to be index 0, and I'll be just going to write while, okay, index value is less than len my list. This is just a condition. If I'll be not going to write this condition, it will just going, this loop will not going to stop. Let me just show you how. Okay, so right now I'll be just going to call my list. Okay, and I'll be just going to call this index is equal to my list index, and we'll be just going to do the square root of it. All right, and we'll be just going to increment the value of index, and we'll be just simply going to print my list. So just see, this is basically a square root. Now what if I'll be just going to remove this thing? Okay, and I'll be just going to print my list inside this loop. Okay, so it is basically saying while true, let's just say I'll be going to write. So now it is basically giving me an error, list index out of range. Okay, because it is continuously going to increment these values. So that's why we have added a statement over here. Now how this thing is basically working, try to understand. We had a value. Okay, let's just say index is there. If index value, I have defined a variable index is equal to 1. And if I'll be just going to call this my index, my list and index, what do you think what it will going to print, guys? Now tell me, if my index value will going to be 2, what it will print now? What it will going to print? Two? No. It will going to print 3 because this is at index 3. Yesterday we have seen indexing. Over here in place of index, I'll be just going to write 3. So it is printing 4. If I'll be just going to write 2, it will going to print 3. So अभी हमने क्या किया है, what we have did, ये जो index की value थी, we have just stored it in a particular variable. That's it. So this is how this thing is even working. Previously it was 0, so we have mentioned one thing. While index is less than, that means 0, over here we are incrementing it, so it will going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. While index is less than my list, len my list. So if I'll be just going to show you what this is. Okay, screen. Okay guys, there's a WhatsApp link. So over there you can basically tell them that what kind of a course and thing you basically want. Okay. Okay, now I hope my screen is visible, right? So this is basically, we was like understanding. So what it is basically doing over here, that I have my list and I have basically added this index over here. That is basically your 0. Right now it is a 0 position. Okay, so let's just break this thing out, that my list is basically there. If it was at 0th index, so this was the value, what we have did, we have just did a square root of it. So obviously 1 square root will going to be 1. If I'll be just going to use 1, so 2 square root, it will going to access this value. So 2 square root will basically going to be 4. Okay, and if I just say this value will again going to increment over here, right? So let's just do one thing. Let's just try to debug this thing, so you guys will be clearly able to understand it. So over here we'll be little bit going to debug it, like we'll be just going to print, and statements we'll be going to write print index value before. Okay, and this is basically going to be my index, and over here it will going to be print index value after, and it will be going to be index, and after that over here we'll be basically going to write my list. So print my list. Okay, and after this thing we'll be just going to add some space. So how you can add space if you are printing something, print, and by using this thing. Okay, so let's just try to understand that while loop will going to run till the length of my list. Okay, so before it was 0 over here initially, जब इस लाइन से आप इस लाइन में आए तब आपकी वैल्यू 0 थी, ठीक है, और 0 को पहले 0 यहाँ पे गया इंडेक्स पे, तो 0 पे था 1, राइट? सो 1 का हमने स्क्वायर रूट किया तो हमें क्या मिला 1, बाकी सारी वैल्यू एज इट इज, क्योंकि हम इंडेक्स वाइज चीजें कर रहे हैं, राइट? अब हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया, इंक्रीमेंट कर दी वैल्यू, तो आफ्टर इंक्रीमेंटिंग द वैल्यू फ्रॉम 0 इट हैज मूव टू 1. नाउ इफ आई जस्ट टॉक अबाउट 1, ओके, 1 पे आ गया, तो अब ये दोबारा जब इस लाइन पे आएगा, व्हेन अगेन इट विल बी गोइंग टू कम ऑन दिस लाइन, the value will be 1. So at one position we have 2. Now what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to do the square root of it. 2 into 2, that is 4, right? Now, so after this thing, index value before was 1, and if I just talk about 1 index, so 2 was there, and we have did the square root of it. Similarly, value incremented to 2, so 3 square root is like 9. Okay, like this things are basically working over here. Yes, I am communicating in English also, and I am communicating in Hindi also. Okay, because yeah. So I hope this thing is clear now, guys, that how this code is working. Okay, yeah, very good. Now, similarly, same thing you can do with a dictionary also. Let us just say I have a dictionary. A last example I'll be going to take with respect to the for loop. So there are like some persons with their, you can consider with their like age or maybe salary or something is basically there. Now, A is there, B is there, who have the age of 2. So this is just an example that I'm taking. C is basically there, who basically has the age of 3. So this is basically my dict. Dict, what is like dictionary, I have explained you in the yesterday session that it consider key and value pair, right? Okay. Now, so what we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to take, if I'll be just going to do length of my dict, what it will going to print me 3, because it has 3 key and value pairs. Okay, so what I'll be just going to do, I'll be just going to create an index that is going to be 0, and I'll be just going to mention while index is less than len my dict. So it basically has 3. So if I'll be just going to print index only, it will going to print it 3 times, because it will going to iterate it 3 times, right? Now what I'll be just going to do over here, so let's just say over here I basically have to take keys also. So first thing we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to take this A, B, C and all of these names. So how I'll be going to do that, keys is equal to, let's just say in a list I'll be going to do it. So if I just talk about my dict, 1 second. Just 1 second. Okay. So if I'll be just going to do my dict and I'll be just going to call keys. So it will going to print me A, B and C, because these are the keys. And what is this? 1, 2 and 3. These are your values. Okay. So these keys I'll be just going to store over it. So that is going to be my dict dot keys. All right. So in keys, how this code will going to look like? Just list is not defined. Okay. Okay. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. I think I have initiated. Yeah. Okay, now I have to run these things again. Now. Yeah. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. Yeah. So it will be in a this thing, a list. If you want, you can call it like this also. So what we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to convert it into list only. List is nothing but this is basically your data type. I have explained you this thing in the yesterday session. like dict is basically there, sat is basically there, like this. So this is your sat. Okay, and this is your basically list. Now, so what we'll be going to do? Yeah. Yes, this is also we can write over here. Okay. So my dict.keys I'll be just simply going to call over here. Now after that, what I'll be basically going to do? I'll be simply going to call the keys. Keys is equal to my keys and the index value. Like 0 at 0th index, it will be just going to call this thing. Or if you want, you can just simply call my dict and this thing, index. So it will going to call the key for you. And after that, what I'll be going to do? I'll be simply going to do my dict and key, that this with this particular key, I want to increment the value with 2. Okay. I'll be just going to multiply it by 2. And I'll be just going to increment index value now. We'll be going to understand how this is working. Don't worry. Okay. We'll be going to understand these things one by one. Just wait for it, guys. Now I'll be just going to print my dict. Okay. Over here, we'll be basically going to write. Okay. Dict keys, where it is. Guys, just see one thing over here. Over here, I am basically explaining you while loop only. Don't Lokesh, you don't basically have to worry about it. Just see over here, we are just mentioning it. Let's just say I'll be just going to create a while loop. Okay, so I'll be just going to print I, or let's just say anything. I'll be just going to print. Let's just say let's upgrade. So if I'll be just not going to stop it, it will continuously going to print this let's upgrade. So that is your while loop, because I have not mentioned any kind of a this thing over here. All right, I have not mentioned any kind of a statement over here. But if I'll be just going to mention a statement, let's just say counter plus is equal to 1, and over here, sorry, over counter will going to be 0. And over here, I'll be just going to increment the value of counter plus is equal to 1. And if counter is equal to 5, then just break it. So now, yes, it is an infinite loop. Okay. So in a simple way, this is what I'm explaining to you. All right. Anything we can use. Okay, it's not like that. So just this should be basically in a list. I think there is some problem with this Jupyter notebook, because the code that I'm writing is right, but it is not taking this internally, this thing. Okay, like if I just call this thing list, it is not even. Let me just open it again, guys. That will be the best thing. Just give me 1 second. Let me just try to open it again. And do one thing also. Okay, base environment we'll be going to use whatever is there. Yes, it gives keys only. Bhavish, right? Okay, and again I'll be just going to launch it. Now let me just try to open it. Okay. Yes, now just see. Now it is recognizing it. Previously, what was happening? That when I was even writing the list, it was just taking it as a variable. Now you'll be able to see this is in a green. what you are saying, just see, while loop is basically, okay, let us just say you basically have a list which have, let us just say, some numbers a comma b comma c comma d. Okay, this is basically a data. This is basically a data of students, of a student who has basically learned these things a b c d. So till now a particular student has been learned till a b c d only. Okay, now I just want to do one thing. Wherever the d is basically there, I want to upgrade it to e. So how I'll be able to do it? I have to access it, right? Now this d can be anywhere. Right now it is at the last index, like this, but it can be anywhere. This list can have thousand or lakhs of numbers like this. You never going to know the index of it. So what you will be going to do at that time? You'll be going to iterate it for I in list 1. Let us just say, or value in list 1, print value abcd. Yeah, Sonali, just see, we can use indexing, but if this list, if you are working with a real data, you might going to have lakh of numbers, maybe 1,000. From where are you just going to search it manually? Obviously not, right? So that's why we will be going to iterate it, and we'll be simply going to change if value, all right, is equal to, let us just say, d, then only print this value, otherwise not. Just see, so now it is just printing d. Asif, list is there, dictionary is there, sat is basically there, tuple is basically there. Okay, so, and if I just talk about data types, boolean is basically there, int is there, float is there. So multiple these things are basically there. So this is basically your while loop, guys. Just see. Okay, this was the while loop that we have to consider. Now what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to learn about functions. What are basically functions in Python? So functions we'll be going to learn in Python. So what are basically function, guys? Let us just say I basically have to do something. Okay, I basically just really sorry, guys, just 1 second. Yeah. So now if I basically have a name, okay, so it will just going to print, I'll be just going to write Satyam. Let us just write my last name, that is Tripathi. Okay, now again what I basically have to do is I'll be just going to write print your full name is name plus last, and we'll be even going to add a space that we have seen in the last session. So yeah, it will going to give me your full name is Satyam Tripathi. Dictionary contain list, and dictionary contains key and value pair. Okay, and list basically have only values inside it. Now I again have to write for someone else. Okay, let us just say I will be going to write the same thing, that name is basically going to be Harshit, and last name, let us just say, is going to be Rana. And after that I'll be again going to write this code again and again. I'm doing this thing. Your full name is comma name plus last. So if I have to basically print a full name, I again have to write this thing. right? Now, what if I'll be able to create a function where I just have to pass my first name and the last name, so it will be able to give me these things. So we define functions by using def, that is def, and you just have to write the name of function. Just like my name is Satyam, people are there, like Sonali is basically there, Valencia is basically there, Learning Rain is there, right? So these are basically your username over here. So let us just say full name, and over here it will going to take two things. Let us just say first underscore name, comma, last underscore name, and I'll be just simply going to print it. Your full name is first name plus last name, and I'll be just going to add a little bit of space between it, and I'll be just going to call it. Now I'll be just going to call this function, and I'll be simply going to write my name. Let's just say Satyam, comma, Tripathi. So just see, it is returning me these things. Whatever first or last name you'll be going to write, it will going to take that, and it will just going to give you the final result that you want. Okay. Now instead of print, you can return it, because print is just for printing it. But what if this value you have to pass to another function? Okay, so this is how it will going to return the value. Okay, and let's just define one more function. What do I mean by this thing? Okay, let's just define one more function over here, that is basically going to be let's just say sum. Okay, to sum, let us just say this is basically a Python problem, to sum. So I'll be just going to pass a comma b. I have to add two values, so I'll be simply going to return a plus b. Now whenever I'll be just going to call this to sum, I'll be just going to write 4 comma 8. It will going to return me 12, because this is just a function. Okay, clear till now, guys? Are you able to understand what functions are in Python? Simply, if I have to multiply something, okay, if I basically have to multiply something, that is again going to be x comma y, and return x multiplied by y. Now multiply 2 comma 3, so that is going to be 6. If I'll be just going to call this function again, multiply 8 comma 5, that is 40. Okay, now let us just make it little bit more complex. Okay, so you'll be able to understand it. Let us just try to make it more complex, so you'll be able to know what is the value of function. So let us just say if you have a list 1, let us just say, and you have something like a file name is there, home Satyam, right? Documents, we all have a folder documents, right? So file underscore 1 dot mp3. Similarly, you have multiple files names like this, 2, 3, comma 4. Last name I'll be just going to write, that is going to be 5. Now what do you think, guys? Can anyone give me logic over here, that if I just have to extract this file 1, only this thing I basically want, all right, so how I'll be able to get it? Chitra, what you are not clear? This is basically just a function. Like, just see, okay, one thing, just see. Over here we are doing two sum, right? But what if you have to add something? You have a is equal to 4, right? B is equal to 8. You have to add it, so you'll be just going to write a plus b, and you will be just going to print the value. Now again, if you will be just going to do it over here, you will be again going to call it. Let us just say 6 will be there, 7 will be there. And in real world, you will be not going to work with Jupyter notebook. You have to change these things again and again. In real world, with respect to each and everything, you have to write functions only. You just cannot give a code like this. It should be in a function, because one function will going to call another function will going to call another function. This is how things will going to work. All right, so like this you are doing it, but over here you basically have to again and again execute it, call the values, change the values. But over here what you have to do is you have to call toSum, and you just have to pass your value. It will be going to give you the result. Okay, now I have this list. Okay, now I have again some list. Let us just say this is my list 2, which have a wave file. Instead of mp3 we have wave file. Wave. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to write a code for it, so I'll be able to extract this thing. So the same thing that we have seen in the yesterday session, I'll be going to do the same thing. So for I in list 1, okay, so for I in list 1, so name I'll be just going to call name is equal to list 1. First let me show you like this, just 1 second. Okay, now list 1 I'll be going to print, so it will be going to give me these things. But what if I'll be just going to call split, and I'll be just going to split it on the basis of these things. Okay, sorry, it will work on a string only, but let's just consider one string for now. Dot split. Now you'll be able to see it has splitted these things, and I'm looking for the -1. So I'll be just going to write -1. This is the same thing we have seen in the yesterday session, right? Now just see name we'll be going to get over here. That is going to be I is basically what? That first it will iterate over here, first then it will iterate over here, then it will iterate over here, then it will iterate over here. So one by one it will be going to do this thing. Okay, so it will going to be I. That means if I'll be going to print I, first it will going to print this thing. So I'll be just simply going to split it like this, and I'll be just going to get the this one -1. Okay, now we have the name of it, like file1, file2. If I'll be just going to print it, print name, so it will be able to give me the names of it, right? Now instead of writing this thing, let's just say I again have to write it for the list 2. Can I just add it in a function? Let's just say def get file name. Okay, and I'll be just going to pass what I'll be just going to pass over here, new list. So this new list will be here. Now for this thing, what I have to do now, I just have to call this function, and I just have to call inside list 1. I again have to call this function, and I'll be just going to pass list 2. So it will be going to give me the name of these things. So that is the importance of function over here. Okay. Are we guys clear till now? Right. So So these are some basic things, guys. Just see whatever I have explained you till now. These are the basic things, but for the advanced things, you have to practice from your own, because functions looks like, just see like this. You basically have to write all of the functions, okay, like this. So multiple things are there, but we are just practicing a little basic of it. But if you'll be going to practice, just see what we have did right now. Initially, if I'll be just going to copy and paste this code like this, okay, you might be going to think, okay, this is hard. But if we'll be just going to look at line by line, okay, it will going to be easy, because just a logic we are applying. First, we are iterating through the list that I value will be one by one going to capture these things. First this index, then this index, then the next index, right? After that, we are splitting it and getting the negative indexing we are doing and getting the last value over here, and we are just simply printing it. All right. Okay. So we have understood about these things. Okay. Now, these things we have already seen in the yesterday's session, basically. But I'll be just going to show you something else also. Yeah. Okay, guys. So now let's just try to understand something else over here. Some inbuilt functions with respect to the list, and where we can like use it. All right. So let's just say I have multiple lists. My list is basically there, that is empty. And after that, I basically have, again, let's just say my list is basically there. My list, or let's just name it my list underscore one. And this is going to be my list. And this is basically going to be mixed list. And after that, I'll be just going to write something in it. A, comma, B, comma, 2, like this. Anything I can basically write, or I can basically mention multiple data types. I can basically write over here. So you'll be able to see we have a string, we have int, we have boolean, we have float also. Okay. So this is the advantage of list. List can contain multiple data types also. Okay. Now, indexing we know. Let us just say mixed list is basically there. Over here also, I'll be just going to write something. Let us just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, indexing, you know that I'll be just going to call the 0, 1, so it will be going to call this thing. So this is positive indexing, and if I'll be going to do it negatively, so it will consider the last 2. So this is basically called as negative indexing, right? Now, what if I have to add a new value in it? So for that, we basically use append, that is an inbuilt function, and I'll be simply going to write let's upgrade. Now, if I'll be just going to print this mixed list, now you'll be able to see it has added let's upgrade over here. Okay. Now, what if I have to do at some position? Just see, if I have appended something, it will going to append in the end of the list. But what if I have to append something at B position? So what I'll be basically going to do, mixed list dot insert, okay, in place of, let us just say 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll be just going to write like this. So just see this thing, guys. Previously it was 2 over here, so I have mentioned at third index I want to append, I want to insert 5. So just see 0, 1, 2, 3. So at the third index I have inserted 5. All right. Now what if there is one more thing, that is just a mixed list dot app extend. I'll be just going to write this, basically take a list. Let us just say I have this list, my list. Okay, I want to append this thing, append my list. And if I'll be just going to look into it, this is how it will going to look like. Okay, a list inside a list. Okay, similarly we have extend. Let's just not comment this thing out first of all, and let's just run these things again. Now my list is going to look like this, but if I'll be just going to do this thing, and I'll be just going to print my list, it will not going to create another list inside it. But you remember when I did this thing, what it has did? It has created a list inside list. Just see, this is another list like this. Okay, but if you already have a list and that you want to insert inside it, so you can use extend if you don't want to create a list inside a list. Okay, now what I can do, mixed list, if I have to remove something. Okay, so what I'll be going to do, that dot pop I'll be going to use, and I'll be going to use 2. That means I want to get this particular value over here. Okay, now if you'll be just going to see over here, pop is being removed. All right, yeah. Now if I want to make this list empty, so what I'll be going to do, I'll be simply going to write clear. Now if I'll be going to mention this thing, so this is an empty list now. Okay, similarly if I just talk about dictionary, let us just say we have something job and we have positions. So let's just say Satyam is basically DS, that is data scientist. There is one guy, Harshit, he is basically going to be, let's just say, in sales. And there is one more guy, yeah, let's just say one more guy is basically there. So she is basically going to be in HR, right? Let's just take one more. Okay, 3 is basically enough. All right. Now, if I'll be just going to call it like this, so this is basically a key and this is basically your value with respect to each and everything. So if I just have to print the names only, okay, dot keys. So I'll be able to print the name of these things. If I'll be just going to write values, so it will print only the values. What if with respect to name you want to print the value? Right now this is basically a small dictionary, a small information is there. But what if this information have lakhs of documents? Will you be able to access it manually? Obviously not, right? So let's just say for I comma j in dict1 dot items. I is basically stands for the key, or we can write key only, so it will be like easy for you, and value in dict1 dot item. Yes, it will going to delete the list, right? Okay, now I'll be just going to do print key, and I'll be just going to add a statement over here. This is name, print, this is position. And after one, when it will be going to print one record, I'll be just going to add little bit space like this. You have to remember the syntax, or you can just search it on Google. I can basically say Python dictionary syntax, and I'll be just going to click over here. So it will be able to give me, okay, this is how the syntax will going to look like. A value is there and this thing is there, right? And okay, axis item is basically there, right? So click over here, you'll be able to see how you can basically do these things. Okay, or you can basically write how to access Python dictionary in loop. All right, so let's just click on this one only. So you'll be able to see like this, you can access it for x comma y in this dict.items. All right, now if I have to just want to search what is the position of, let's just say, Harshit, I don't want this information of Satyam and Divya. So what I'll be basically going to do over here, if key is equal to Harshit, do one thing, print the value of it. That I just want to know what is the position of Harshit. So it will just going to print sales. Or Harshit is in sales. Okay. Understood till now, guys? So this is basically your dictionary. This is how you can basically access the information that is present inside the dictionary. Items is basically for, it will going to fetch a data like this, right? This is one record, this is another record, and this is another record. This is what items are. All right. Now the same thing we have seen in the yesterday session, that if you want to change something, that if key is equal to Harshit, then just do one thing, that particular key, that dict1 key is going to be, let's just say Bhavesh is there in the comment. So Bhavesh. Okay, dictionary changes size to English. Just 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay, now if I'll be going to print, just see. The value of Harshit is going to be this one. Okay. So this is how you can basically update the values also. All right. If I want to upgrade that, he is in like upgraded. Now he is in machine learning. So it will be going to upgrade. Okay. So this is the basically thing. Now we'll be even going to understand some important things about it. Let's just say, okay, do you guys know about try and accept? Tell me, guys. Now, how to just see one thing also is basically there, guys. Python is basically a sensitive language. What do I mean by this? Let's just say if I'll be going to write a list like this, it is saying list is not defined because it is considering a variable. Okay. So if this value should be in a particular way, the code that you are writing, that should be in a particular way. That list should be, you should write in a small letters. Yes, Python is case sensitive. str if I'll be going to write, so it will going to give me str is not defined because you have to write it in str like this. All right. If I have to define a function, let us just say do nothing, and we'll be just going to pass, or let's just say we'll be going to print anything, space. So I'll be going to call it do nothing. So it is doing nothing. But what if I'll be just going to write it like this? So it is saying def is not defined. Syntax error. Okay, so you have to write it in such a way only. Okay. Now, if else we have already seen in the yesterday session. Now let's just say what we'll be basically going to do is we'll be going to learn about try and except. Okay. Yeah, lowercase we can even convert, but okay, let us just try to understand try and except for now. So let us just say if okay, this is basically this thing. Okay, let us just say what I'll be just going to do. If I have my list, now tell me if I'll be going to do this thing, what I'll be going to get now. What I'll be going to get now, guys. What do you think? What it will going to give me? Error. Okay, Bhavish is saying that error I'll be going to get. Error. Okay. So this error it will going to give me. That means अगर मैं इसके आगे if I'm trying to do something, print my list 0, तो ये value कभी this value will never going to get printed because over here you are getting the error. That's why the next line Python will not going to execute. Okay, but over here I can basically write a try and except. This is how we'll be basically going to write it, that print my list 5. But if this is not possible, okay, if this is basically going to give me an error, so you just basically have to write except, let us just say error, I'll be basically going to write over here index error and print index out of range. Now just see. So if this is not happening, so it is going over here. But I can even write one thing also, that if this is not possible, do one thing, whatever the index value we have, we can like print another this thing, my underscore list and 1. All right, now you might be going to think that we can even write if and else. Okay, so let's just try that also. Okay, what it is giving me, that in the if condition you are getting this error, that's why this is not able to execute. All right, so that's why you can write something else. Okay, let me just give you one more example over here. A full name and last name example we have to write. So full name, so I'll be going to pass first name and last name, and I'll be just simply going to return my my full name is first plus last. Okay, like this. Error name you can search on Google, or there will be like Python documentation over there. There are error names. Now I'll be just going to pass, okay, full name, and I'll be just going to write Satyam. Okay. Now what it is giving me, It is telling me full name missing one required position. Over here, it is trying to say that full names of the function that you have defined, it used to take two inputs, the first and last. But you have just given me the first one. Where is the last one? Okay. Now, so over here, we'll be just going to do one thing. Try. Okay. Accept. Print. Please enter last name also. Okay, so now you are getting that error. Now you are basically getting a message. What is missing? So I'll be simply going to write Tripathi. Now just see, now it is basically giving me. Right, guys? So I hope you guys are able to understand what is this try and accept. Try and accept are basically nothing but you can get industry. You'll be going to write a code. You will be not the only person who will be going to use that code. You'll be going to pass that code to someone else, and someone there might be chances that someone else has written your code and you are just doing updation in it. Okay, so I can even do one thing, try print len 5 or accept. Just try to print a meaningful error, that is error is basically there, and the message will basically going to be cannot get the length of int. Okay, so what, just see, this is not a list, this is just a single number. All right, so error cannot get the length of the integer. You basically have to pass a list or something else. If I'll be going to pass a list inside it, let us just say, now it is giving me this thing. All right, this is how this will going to work. And guys, this is just, see, if you guys don't want to install this thing, Anaconda or something on Google, you can simply go over here. That is basically your Google Colab. There is no requirement of installation or something. You just have to write this thing and enter, click. And the first page that you'll be able to see, you have to click over here and you just have to click on new node. All right, just see. So this is what, this is again your Jupyter notebook only, right? Like it will going to take time for connection, like this. Guys, just give me 1 minute only. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, just 1 minute, guys. Yeah, okay, thank you very much for waiting, guys. So all right, just 1 second. Okay, so this is basically no login is basically like you, if you'll be able to create your Google account, just see, this is basically my ID over here. You'll be able to see Satyam, right? Okay, this is my ID basically. Okay, so over here, if you'll be able to log in the Google account, at that time you do not have to like log in over here. And even if your laptop have less memory, just see over here, it basically give you 12 GB of RAM, so you can run your codes over here. Yes, no, just see, Kumar S, even if you are not saving your code, your codes will be available over here only. Whenever you will be going to open it, you will be able to see your codes. Okay, just see, these are my codes, so you do not even have to save it. Okay, all right, guys, so just tell me, guys, how many of you are aware about this pandas? How many of you are aware about panda library? Okay, so let us just do one thing. Let us just try to import any CSV over here. Like this is the thing where you will be going to import your data like this. Okay, over here what you can basically do, where is my home page? Over here it is. So over here you can upload any kind of a CSV like this. Let us just say I'll be going to upload, search for a CSV, where is basically any kind of CSV I'll be going to work with. Is there any demo CSV that I have? Let me just have a look. FIFA is there or not? Okay, so let's just do one thing. Let's just download a custom data. Okay, guys, if you don't have data set, okay, if you want to work with data set in data analysis, okay, so what you will be going to do, there is one thing that is known as Kaggle. Okay, so Kaggle, you just have to go where you will be able to find multiple data, like audio data you will be able to get, any kind of a data you will be able to easily get over here. So data set we'll be just going to click on, and let's just say I'll be going to look for a FIFA data set, and I'll be simply going to download it. Okay, you can prefer anything. Sublime is also good, and VS Code is also good. You can prefer anything, whatever you want. But this is just like, if you are a beginner, it will be really easy for you to write code on Jupyter Notebook, because after writing each and every line, you will be easily able to see your output. All right. So now let's just try to upload it over here. Okay. Okay, it is over here like updating, uploading. We are like uploading it over here. If you want, you can upload it over here also, like this. So it is being updated like this. Yes, software engineering bootcamp is also okay. Now just see, this is a zip file. So by like how you can unzip it manually, you can do it by double clicking it. All right, or otherwise what you can do, just copy the path of it. Over here, if you'll be just going to click over here, there will be 3 dots, click on it, copy the path of it. And there is a command in Python that is basically unzip and paste the path of that file. So you'll be able to see that we have unzipped these files. Cool. Okay, so this you will be able to learn one command today. So that is unzip. Now let us just say I have to work with this CSV. This is basically what, if you'll be going to double click on it, you'll be able to see that this is your CSV. Just wait, it is basically taking like this. Now you want to make changes in it, you want to read it. So how you'll be going to do this thing? How you'll be going to do this thing, guys? Okay, for that we use libraries. Libraries is like someone has already written a good amount of code and you just have to call little bit functions of it. Like someone has already written a code for you, for your problem. You just have to call that particular function. Let us just say you'll be going to do. First, we'll be going to import library. So what is the format of importing library? Like import pandas as PD. As PD means that whenever I'll be going to call PD, that will call pandas. But if you want, you can call it like this also. But in a short form, this is the nickname that we are giving to it. If you want, you can give your name also. Okay, this is just a nickname that you are giving to pandas. Now, for reading a CSV, what you have to do, you have to go over here. You have to click on these 3 dots. You have to do copy path. And after that, what you have to do is, you have to do pd dot read underscore CSV. And you just have to paste the path of it. Now you'll be able to see this CSV, guys. Okay. This is how you will be able to see the CSV over here. Now let us just say right now, how many rows are there? Only CSV also you can use by open. You can basically use it. But this is the easiest way. In even industry, people are basically using pandas only. Now let us just say in CSV variable, I'll be going to store this CSV. So now if I'll be going to call CSV only, it will going to show me the output. So right now it is basically showing me starting 5 rows and end 5 rows. But what if I just have to look into starting 5 rows? So I just have to do head.5, because head is what you can consider it as a function. CSV.head5. And I want to see the last one. So you just have to do CSV.tail. Okay. These things you can basically use over here. If I just want to look into the 2 rows only, so I will be going to do CSV.head2. That means I just want to look into 2 rows. Because in real life also you have to work with CSVs, Excel files and all. Okay. Now let us just see that CSV dot shape. What is the shape of it? So it is saying that these are the rows and these are the columns. That means it has 75 columns and 17981 rows. But there might be duplicates also. What do I mean by duplicates? List 1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1. So over here, do we have duplicates? 2, 3, 1, right? So if I just compare the list, the length of it is 8. But if I'll be just going to remove, I'll be just going to use set. It will just going to remove the duplicates. Yes, you can get the job by learning Python, but you should even learn one database, like learn SQL or MongoDB. These are the main things that we are using. Okay. Now if I just compare the length of it, it is 5. That means there was 3 duplicates. Now let us just say if in this CSV there are duplicates, how I'll be able to know? Right now we know the CSV shape is, it has 17981 rows. But if I want to remove duplicates from it, so what we'll be going to do, dot drop duplicate. Now it is showing 17981 only. That means there is no duplicates. But if there was some duplicates, so it will be going to remove that at that time. Okay. So if you just see, if okay, let us just connect this thing to a scenario. Okay, because Muhammad Amir is basically asking what's the point of it. So just see, if your senior or your teammate is basically going to give you a CSV that client has given to you, and you have to enter these values in SQL or in your database, because as a Python developer, this will be your job. So don't you think you have to remove the duplicates at that time? You just cannot insert the duplicates records. Okay. This is the very basic thing that we have to consider while writing the code and all. So how you will be going to read the CSV? Okay. Okay, let us just say your senior has provided you this CSV and he is asking you, first tell me what are the unique nationalities, right? So what you will be going to do, CSV is basically a variable in which we have stored it, and we'll be going to call this column like this by mentioning a square brackets, and you just have to call dot unique. So these are the unique values. My length is like almost 18,000, right? But these are the unique values over here. Now your senior will going to tell you, okay, just do one thing. We just have to consider those records who are from England. If someone is not from England, just remove it. Sayan, you will be easily able to do it. You just have to learn data analysis. There is no need that you should have a technical background. So what we'll be going to do, CSV nationality should be equal to England. Okay, just one second. So what you have to do for that, CSV and this thing. So now you will be able to see now how many records do we have? We have 1630 records for pupils who live in England. Now you have to update, you have to insert this record in your database. This will be your job after learning Python. Okay, I'll be going to give you in the resource only, there will be one link, right? So I'll be going to update it over there. Okay, so this will be your job. This kind of a work you basically have to do. Updating the values. Client will going to ask you to update the values and all. So this is the job that you will be going to do at that time, guys. Okay. Now, if your senior will going to ask you, okay, do one thing. First, just give me all the column names. So what you will be going to do? Are you just going to copy each and everything? Obviously not. So you just have to do csv dot columns. I think this should not be there. Yeah. Guys, now try to understand one thing. If I'm calling this function columns, or if I'm doing this thing, if I'm applying things like this, okay, that doesn't mean that without importing pandas, I can do these things. These are the inbuilt things with respect to pandas only. If you'll be going to read it with panda, only then you will be able to use this shape. Only then you will be able to use this drop duplicate. Only then you will be able to use this thing. Okay, so now this is the data of England. Okay, so let's just name it England underscore data. Now this is the data that you have to pass to your manager. So what you will be going to do, you will be just going to extract it dot to csv. That means you will be going to extract it, and you will be just going to name the csv as only England data dot csv. Now if I'll be just going to open it over here, you'll be able to see this is the data only England data dot csv. So if I just open it, yes, you can use any. Okay, now just see one thing, guys. Over here, just see, this is the data with respect to England only. This is the data what your manager was asking for, and you was easily able to do it in just 2 or 3 lines of code. This is the importance of pandas. Okay, this is the importance of pandas, guys. Now let us just say, if these are your columns, if you'll be just going to call csv like name, age, photo, I just want these 4 only. So what you will be going to do, if your manager will going to ask that you have to work with these columns only. So what you will be going to do at that time, you will be just simply going to do csv, like these are the starting column names, like name, age, photo, and nationality. And you just have to mention this bracket and one more time this kind of bracket, and just mention the column names. Now you'll be able to see only 4 columns. Okay, now what if your manager, let's just store it in csv, we're going to ask you one thing. Okay, just do one thing, just drop this age column. I don't want this age column. So what you will be going to do at that time, you'll be going to do csv dot drop age, this column name you will be going to mention, comma, axis is going to be 1. 1 basically means column wise you want to drop it. Okay, or you cannot mention it axis is equal to 1, because by default it is 1. Age is not defined. Sorry. Yeah, now just see, we have dropped the age column. Now we have only name, photo, and nationality. Right, guys? But what if you'll be going to work with, right now we are working with csv. What if you have to work with txt file? What if you have to work with xml file? Multiple files are basically there. So that we'll be going to learn, like these are the things. Just the file handling was there in your syllabus, that how to open and read a file, understand these things. So tomorrow we'll be going to cover these things. Okay, guys. So how was it, guys? Have you enjoyed the session or not? Was you able to learn something new today? How was it, guys? Did you enjoy the session or not? Yes. What about others? Guys, have you enjoyed it or not? Okay. Yes, Lokesh. As a fresher, Python and SQL is enough to get a job. Just try to learn it and just start applying. Okay. So I can basically say this is it for today's session, guys. All right. So tomorrow is the last day, and I'll be just going to cover all the topics that's left for the day 3, and we'll be even going to do a mini project. So all the things that we have learned, you will be able to implement it at that time. So it will be a quick revision for all of you also. Okay. Okay, guys. Then this is it for today's session. Then bye each and everyone. Good night, guys. Take care. Bye.